Are we about to see a repeat of the 1987 Black Monday crash? In today's video, we'll be looking at Bitcoin and stocks to see if we can answer that question. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So, the stock market looks like it's starting to line up with the 1987 crash. As we can see, back then in 1987, we had a top that was formed and then a lower high. Then we had a lot of red days at the end of the previous week. And when the Monday came around, we absolutely nuked over 20% in a single day. Currently, it's looking eerily similar. We had it topped, we hovered around this top, we came back down, saw a little bit of a bounce, formed a lower high, and now last week, at the end of the week, we started to have some pretty negative days and we had a horrible close for the stock market. So does this mean that on Monday we will just crash? Taking a look at the stock market here, what we can see is that this is a very, very bad weekly candle. Horrible red. A lot of people are thinking that potentially we could just bounce from here, but I'm not so sure. If we take a look at Bitcoin, which is what we're here for, as we can see, it's looking like we're trying to go and retest that 81K level once again, showing severe weakness because one would think that we could go ahead, hold this level of support and pump if we were to be bullish. But if stocks continue to tank, unfortunately, I don't think that Bitcoin will be able to hold up, despite its overperformance over the past couple days. Now, looking at a cleaner Bitcoin chart here, what we can see is that, the week actually started out green. It looked relatively positive. But now going into the weekly close, it's very clear to see that we did not have enough fuel before we move higher, which is exactly in line with our theory that we would likely put in a new lower low for Bitcoin. I still think that this is entirely possible. I have to be honest with my analysis here. As bullish as I want to be, it's simply not looking good for all markets, and Bitcoin is no different despite its recent outperformance. I still think that we're going lower. We got a nice bounce here right around the 76.7K area, pumped to the upside, couldn't even make it back up to 90K, and now I think we are reversing lower, likely to target the lower levels, which was the previous year high, right around $70,000. 70 to 73K have been the levels that we've been talking about on the channel for months now, and I think that it's finally about to happen, especially if stocks continue their correction into Monday. Now, talking about the 1987 Black Monday crash, I don't think that it will be as drastic as that, although it is entirely a possibility. One of the things here that you might laugh about is that Jim Cramer came out and suggested that this could be a possibility. He warned of a 1987 type Black Monday crash. He became a meme, as we know, for being historically wrong. But this time around, I do think that there's a lot of validity to what he's saying. Let's hear him out.
The president doesn't try to reach out and reward these countries and companies that play by the rules in the 1987 scenario. The one where we went down 3 days and then down 22% on Monday has the most potency. We will not have to wait out too, or will we? We'll know by Monday.
As he said, we will not have to wait. Now, if you want to prepare yourself and trade this kind of price action, make sure to click the first link in my description down below. It brings you directly to Weeks. You get that 50% deposit bonus if you sign up with my link, and all you need is an email and a password to sign up. The reward is capped at $1,000, which means that if you deposit $2,000, you'll get $1,000 back into your account directly for trading purposes. Usually this amount goes into your account within 28 to 72 hours, so you just need to be a little bit patient because the bonus will show up in your account relatively soon. So if you want to position yourself and trade this price action for what could be a very volatile Monday, make sure to click the first link in my description and sign up. So I still think that we're going to break this $81,000 level, as we've been discussing. It tried to hold us support, but right now this is a very poor daily candle at the time of recording this video. As I've been saying for months now, there's a high probability that we will be heading lower. But what is positive? First of all, the Treasury Secretary Besant came out and said that tariffs do not risk a recession, despite what JP Morgan said, putting recession risks at 60%. And I just need to add this, but one of the core reasons why the stock market could continue its downtrend into early next week is because of the retaliatory tariffs. Now, we already know that China came out and imposed an additional 34% tariffs back on the US after the US answered their tariffs with 34%. And we have some countries coming out and trying to avoid those tariffs altogether. One of those countries is India. This just came out that India seeks a fair trade deal with the US to dodge President Trump's tariffs. Trump's strategy is supposedly paying off here. I think this is exactly what he wants. Is this bullish for Bitcoin? We'll have to see. I think that China and the EU are both huge concerns, and so we're likely to see some more reciprocal tariffs this week, but also some other countries folding to Trump's pressure. Ultimately, I still think that the markets will be relatively bloody with a lot of volatility. But what's the long-term game, as I always say? Stack your Bitcoin. Not financial advice, but someone just shilled me the biggest shitcoin in existence. It has a 22 trillion circulating supply, no max supply, one node, and 1% of holders own 30% of the supply. Can you guess what I'm talking about? Yes, the US dollar. Why are we in this space in the first place? It's for Bitcoin. So always make sure that regardless of how you're trading this market in the short term, you keep on stacking your sats, because ultimately the dollar is the real shitcoin. And that sums up today's video. While I don't think that we will get a 1987 style crash on Monday, I do think that Monday will likely be red and Bitcoin will likely go lower. I'm just trading the market as I always do, but in the long term, I continue to accumulate more Bitcoin. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.